I've known George as a youngster, and I've known his parents, and I just like the fight game myself as an individual because I participated a little bit as an amateur in my younger day, and coming in the same district, or being in the same district as George was born, it was a type of a district that you had to protect yourself to a certain degree. This is Toronto, yes, of course, Toronto. The West End, off Dupont Street, the old Royce Avenue. When George became an amateur boxer, and with his background, I felt right there and then that with his education that he had, and he had good education, I think he even went further than I did, in school, and I felt that if he made it his choice to become a boxer or a fighter, he was going to do good at it.
Irv Ungerman speaking, George Chuvalo's manager.
Going along various times, and I figured with his body and with his power punching that he sure had the makings of a champ. And 5, 6 years back, at that time, I predicted George should have had some, without degrading his manager or his trainer at that time, I just felt that if he intended to stay in it, he should have had a little more scope as far as management and trainer was concerned in getting him into the highlight of the sport.
At the age of 10, we moved to that house in Gillespie. And life was a little different there. And when I lived on Hook Avenue, which is in the junction, life was pretty rough at that time. I was actually a pretty skinny kid till about 14. I remember one time, it was my first year of high school, a guy looked down at my arms. It was in Latin class. I remember he looked back at me, and I had just kind of break my arm back. I was going to talk to him. He said, boy, you got a skinny, awfully skinny bicep. I think that's what motivated me into starting doing a lot of push-ups and chin-ups and so on. I went to the Y and I started lifting a few weights. I think that's what built me up. I think from the age 14 to 15, the first year I really started to get excited about bodybuilding. I think I gained about 70 pounds. I made tremendous strides. Ever since I was a little kid, I always entertained the thought of being a fighter. The first time I can remember really thinking about being a fighter, I think it was when they used to have these Wheaties. I remember, I think it was Lloyd Percival, somebody had a couple articles on fighters in them, and talking about how to feint and with your left hand and jab to the head or something like that. And ever since then, I started fooling around with it, and I had my mother buy me a pair of gloves, and a set of gloves, rather, and I'd start fooling around the streets with them. And I think ever since then, I sort of fashioned myself as a young Joel Horse or something.
The main strategy that we try to impress in our own minds is the confidence. And confidence has been a great thing in George's mind lately because of the fact that when we went into the Doug Jones fight, we naturally were a 2.5 to 1 underdog. And we never once let it bother us because we knew that it was a mispriced sort of a bet, odds, so to speak. When we were in New York, we went out that same afternoon prior to the fight. We had some tremendous big stakes. And at that time, we arranged for a party that evening with champagne and a big cake with the inscription, "It's only the beginning." And George looked at me and his trainer, and they made remarks. "Gee, Irv, you're taking everything for granted." And I said, "This is the only way. There is no other way. It's the only attitude to go ahead. We wouldn't be fighting if we thought for 1 minute that we couldn't beat this Doug Jones. And this is the attitude that we have to carry on with. We accepted this Floyd Patterson fight. We have the same attitude in this particular fight as we had with that one. And we're definitely going to come out on top, and this is the stand that we're taking."
It's a fantastic feeling. You actually don't feel as much the fighter as a gladiator. I really feel like a gladiator in the old days in the Coliseum, I think. I mean, especially when there's 19,000 people in an arena. It's a tremendous feeling. They'll come to see you another time. It's tremendous. Sometimes you might feel like Christian, other times you might feel like a lion. I think I'd rather be a lion, though.
And I've mentioned to George so many different times that he's so close to becoming a millionaire. It's a matter of minutes. It could be 1 minute, it could be 3 or 15 or 25 minutes. This is all it takes for George to become a millionaire. His next 2 or 3 fights may not total more than, we'll exaggerate to 60 minutes. And this man can become the world's champion and a millionaire with it.
We break it. Break it. Huh? Now we break it. Break it. Ah, that's a hop. Where your feet going? Stay there. Where your head? Look at it. Kill. 5. Hey, but back up. Ayo. Ayo. Ah, yeah. Under you. Under you. You're tired. Ayo. Ah, yeah. Hit this one. Look at me. That's it. I'm tired. Wait a minute.
He lives in a small, very small little type of a bungalow. He lives in a district that isn't the very best because of his financial situation. And all around, I just really feel that here is a boy that would make a tremendous champion as an individual, family man and whatnot that goes along with it. And with his children today, they just jump all over him. You'd think that with 4 children, the size of the ages that he'd have, possibly they would get on the individual's nerves, but not with George. The more they push him around, the more they jump on him, the more he loves it. And he loves his wife, and he lives very modest. He's not a type of fellow that wants to go out and buy a big car when he can't afford it.
That's actually the first book I read about him, and it's more like a Bible, and his views on everything, on love, on children, on sorrow, and I think it's quite a book.
For all passengers who have cleared with United States Customs and Immigration, please proceed to departure lounge at gate 49.
Take care of George.
Jolly good show. I wish the Lord could see your face. I'm sorry you're gone. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I feel you in my dreams.
So how's the kids? Oh, everything's all right? Yeah. We had a charter bus. Pretty rough. I feel kind of dragged out right now. So listen, you call my mother after, I phone told her everything's okay. It's a funny thing. Your mind is almost a blank, except one thing. You have to get this fellow out of there. It's a lot of times I'd say to myself before the fight, I'd say, boy, in between rounds when I fight, if I could only think of what I'm fighting for, although you really know in the back of your mind what you're fighting for, but you're always looking for something, for a little extra boost if you can possibly get out of yourself.
I think we should give the next champ, a big send-off, because that's exactly what he's going to be. Not only a speech, but it's more than that. Make sure it comes over. Ladies and gentlemen, let's wish George the very best and give him a happy cut-your send-off. All of us. Good luck, George.
I'd just like to say on behalf of my manager, trainer, and my sparring partners that we've really enjoyed ourselves immensely in the last 3 weeks. And the people have just been great, the guests, and the waiters, and everybody on the staff treated us beautifully. And I couldn't think of a better place to come back to and train for the Catcher's Clay fight after I beat Patterson.
Thank you, champ.
Just in this moment, everybody around, clustered around, and bulbs, pictures being taken every half a second, people screaming, shouting. The way they announce your weight, like it was like an auction in a sense. Chuvalo 208, Patterson 197 and a quarter. And it's like they were bidding on us or something. Chuvalo turned around, Patterson turned this way, that way. It was pretty fantastic. I really got a tremendous thrill out of it, and I'll never really forget it.
Chuvalo! 208! Chuvalo! 208. Chuvalo. Mr. Mars. George.
197 and a quarter.
Boxer, get back. I'm going to get
197 and a quarter.
197 and a quarter. Get back up. Trying to help you. I'm trying to keep you in. All right? Okay. How about the sparring, son?
I believe he'll be a very modest. The first thing he would do would take care of his parents. Next, of course, would be his wife and family. George's wife is a very clever girl. A lot of credit's got to be given to this young girl because it's not all honey, so to speak, when a fighter comes home all sweated up and soiled clothing every day and certain diet, up early in the morning and no definite income, the fear of always getting hurt, the children seeing their father one day possibly with some cuts or marks on him, and I'd imagine that she should be given a lot of consideration in the fact that she's really a devoted wife.
Telescope returns to the object of Mrs. Chuvalo's devotion in just a moment.